just living up to my potential. That's nice. Great! Oh, fun! Hello, right! That's nice. Hello, right! Oh, fun!
New stratagems!
Never too early to enjoy life.
Is your stomach growling?
Yes, can I help you? Our adventure began with a strange light falling over my home island of Zinkenstill. I chased it to the impact site, where I found a blue-haired girl named Lyria and a knight, Catalina. The girl was shaken, and pretty soon I learned the reason why. She was on the run from Erste Empire soldiers. I knew an unfair fight when I saw one, so I stepped up to protect Lyria from those overbearing jerks. Catalina and I fended them off well enough, but when their backs were in the corner, they released a fire-breathing Hydra. It charged me, sending me flying into the tree line. Moments away from death, all I could think about was Dad. He'd been the one who trained me, and he'd done a great job, but... well, who expects their daughter to get attacked by a five-headed horror? He was going to be devastated. So, it's all over. Just as I began to sink into darkness, a gentle light enveloped my body. Lyria, wreathed by a mystical halo, was floating above me with her hand outstretched. She explained that she was going to merge our life forces. Fortunately, it worked. From that moment forward, Lyria and I would be inextricably linked. Looking into her blue eyes, I knew I had nothing to fear, not even death itself. Two people, one life. a greater whole. Lyria had taken a huge risk to save me. Now, if one of us got hit with a fatal blow, it was curtains for both. And that thought awakened in me a desperate hunger for survival. For life. The next moment, Lyria and I felt this reverberation of power. The torrent of emotion rushing from me had awakened something. Darkness and flames swirled around us, coalescing into a massive dragon, Bahamut. With him on our side, we made short work of the Imperial Hydra. Now that their trump card had been blasted into oblivion, the Imperial Army had no choice but to run. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't chased that light. No Lyria, no lifelink, no adventure. Yeesh, I probably wouldn't even have set foot off of Zinkenstill. Fate's a funny thing, isn't it? Since meeting Lyria, we've seen our fair share of joy and happiness, and pain and suffering. But the Grand Cypher crew doesn't buckle under pressure. We'll take on anything the journey throws at us. No regrets. Now, where was I? Oh, right. We just humiliated the Empire, who probably had reserves waiting somewhere close by. We realized we needed to get off Zinkenstill. Fast. The Empire was not going to rest while Lyria was on the loose, and I figured that since we shared a life force now and all, it was in everyone's best interest if we stayed together. Plus, I'd always wanted to explore the far reaches of the skies. Though doing it on the run, there was so much to think about. So much to decide. I didn't want a whole army, this time with, I don't know, 30 Hydras marching on my home island. And, well, I had another, more personal reason for wanting to leave. Before I knew it, our journey was at an end. The end. As in, we'd reached the end of the skies. My daughter, I'm waiting for you on Estalucia. I thought about Dad's letter. I missed him. When I was young, he would take me to the edge of the island, and we'd sit there, admiring the clouds. I wanted so badly to explore those skies, just like Dad. I had to see him again. And now, I wouldn't have to make that journey alone. With Vern, Lyria, and Catalina at my side, we commandeered a small Imperial craft and set out for the greatest of destinations, Estalucia. From the moment we left Zinkenstill, our adventures were hectic to say the least. Catalina, who claimed to be an experienced pilot, crashed our small vessel into the gusty fields of Port Breeze. But we quickly pulled ourselves together and found a new ally, and helpsman, in the form of Rackham. Since then, we gained more and more allies, and no matter what obstacle we faced, the crew always worked in tandem to find a solution. It's all thanks to their support that I've made it this far. And what a wild ride it's been! I had never set foot off of Zinkenstill, but now I can't even count the number of islands we've saved, let alone visited. Sure, being a roving band of heroes is difficult, but it's got its perks. New faces, new places, and a whole airship's worth of fun. Who could pass this life up? Anyhoodle, we've just begun the next chapter of our adventure. We discovered another piece of the sky map, which led us to Zega Grande. Yeah, a whole new skydom. Just imagine the danger, the promise. But I knew it was going to be fine. Just another set of memories to add to our ever-growing collection. I hope you're ready, Zega Grande, 'cause here we come!
Skyfarers, we need your aid! Goblins! Goblins in Tempeal!
We were at the dock in Folka, taking care of landing procedures, when a panicked old merchant rushed toward us. In between his wheezing, he explained that a shipment of relief supplies headed for Tempeal had been intercepted by monsters. Tempeal reminded me of Id and how he had totally beat our butts. It was embarrassing, yeah. But what's worse, it reminded me of losing Lyria.
Tempeal, huh? Maybe this time around I can actually help out.
That wasn't Vern's usual peppy tone. He was probably reliving those bad memories, just like me. I guess after you've spent as much time together as we have, you pretty much share a brain. It wasn't going to be a fun journey to Tempeal for either of us, but we were Skyfarers, and desperate times called for brave faces. Anyways, goblins. Smart, fast. That meant we wouldn't have the luxury of time. We needed to throw together the minimum amount of supplies needed for the journey and head out. I turned to Vern so we could discuss game plans, but then I saw his ears were droopy.
If we're fighting goblins, then we should have them licked by lunch.
Something was wrong, but with the hasty flight preparations, I couldn't spare the few minutes to investigate. Pull through it, Vern, I thought. We need you. A little less than an hour later, it was time to depart, but Vern was nowhere to be found.
Hurry, Skyfarers! We can't waste another second!
The later we got there, the more supplies would be stolen or destroyed. This could add up to weeks or even months of delays in Tempeal's restoration. Vern, I hope you're okay, bud. I was worried out of my mind, but a captain's gotta do what a captain's gotta do. I left a message for Vern with the merchant, and we set out.
Goblins? I can't even fight stinking goblins! What good am I? Just a scaredy lizard who brings everybody down. Man. If only I was more like my pal, swinging swords and shooting spells. Then I'd finally be able to help out. Maybe I could have stopped Avia from taking Lyria. Maybe I could have done something. How do you live the skyfaring life without combat skills? Heck, I can't even blow sparks, much less fire. What kind of dragon can't breathe fire? Huh, I tell everybody I'm a cool dragon, but I'm just a faker.
You are unworthy.
You were right, Ed. I'm not worthy. Not worthy of being in the crew. Not worthy of being the captain's best bud.
Oh, finally, here you are! I was looking everywhere for you.
Uh-huh. What did this old dude want with me?
Your captain left you a message. The crew's gone on ahead, but as an indispensable member of the Grand Cipher, they want you with them as soon as possible. And that's an order.
Indispensable? That meant, like, VIP, right? Me? For a second there, I was about to blow it off. Like, yeah, right, my bud's just saying that. But then I remembered, this crew had always kept it real. No lies. Yeah, We kicked butt because we believed in one another. These guys were my best friends. And maybe we weren't perfect. I mean, we lost to Id, but my bud put his captain boots on and got right back up and tried again. It was never about swords or magic. It was about always moving forward, never giving up. And more than anything, it was about being there for each other. What was I worrying about? Who cares if I couldn't fight? There are 1,000,002 ways to help on an adventure. I mean, you try questing without a cook or a healer.
Hello? Merchant of Vern, do you read me? If you're done daydreaming now, I've got a ship ready to go.
It was time to get a move on, or I wasn't worth my scales. Sorry, everybody. Your pal Vern is on his way.
All right, time to go.
The supply should be this way. Let's move.
Uh-oh, our potion stock's running low. We'll be okay against a few goblins, right?
Hopefully. Just don't overdo it.
Go! No escape! Into the light! Up here!
I hope Vern's okay.
He was really down, wasn't he? Poor Vern.
Get out of our way! We're in a hurry here! Locked on!
Catch!
Now it's time!
Damn, they're back for more. Right when we were about to cross the finish line.
I see people! Over there, by the supplies! We have to go help them! Yeah, it's working! Gotta keep it up! Ow! Close one!
You're through! Into the light! No escape!
Folks doing okay?
Skyfarers, we're doing better now. We need these supplies to repair and heal.
No escape!
Please, would you protect them?
We're on it! Take cover, okay? Gotta keep it up!
Have at them!
You got
Take
it!
this! You are a natural. I'll take the next
I
one.
think that was the last of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You saved Temtil's future.
Just with the
Heads up,
cleric
goblin
order!
I am in your
reinforcements.
debt.
Just don't quit.
Yeah! Did you miss me? Took me forever to catch up.
Vern!
Vern, was that an explosive? When did you get bombs?
Here come more of those stinking gobbles. Can you take them?
Sure can!
Into the light! Catch! Away with you!
Here's lightning! Yikes! Wyverns are coming from above! Watch the rocket!
If those goblins manage to steal any more of the supplies, then the relief effort's good as done. No kidding. They've already hauled half our grain to higher ground.
Higher ground? Sounds like a job for a cool dragon.
That's a great idea, Vern. Put your wings to use.
Are you sure you can manage? What if the goblins spot you?
Piece of cake! I'll be back in 30 seconds or your money back!
No escape!
I found some of the stolen supplies! They're safe and sound!
Superb! Let's end this far. Well,
Here's the second one!
I have you!
Here!
Thank you.
I brought potions! Everyone feeling better?
Thanks, Vern! You're a lifesaver.
Those goblins are getting nasty! Don't fall for their tricks!
Come on,
Never through!
It's working!
Bird, on me!
Let's
do this!
Just when I needed you.
Go ahead! Sing my praises!
Farewell!
Follow my lead!
No way out.
You
won't prevail.
You'll do this one!
The enemy have started their retreat. I think the worst has passed.
Thanks to you Skyfarers, Tempeal's finally gonna be rebuilt. We owe you everything.
Vern was the real MVP.
Aw, shucks. I bet you say that to all your lifelong pals.
Good work! Now let's get back out there! After we'd secured the supplies, Vern talked about how he didn't think he was good enough for the crew. Obviously, he was the only one that felt that way. I'd always appreciated his support. During fights, he was a supply runner, lookout, and cheerleader. And both on and off the battlefield, he was my courage. But even the best people, and dragons, get discouraged sometimes. I really should have been more vocal about my appreciation. But he knows now. We won the day because he came flying to the rescue. Just like I knew he would.
I'll always be there for you, pal.
He was back to his old self, basking in the praise of the crew, which caused his ego to swell like a balloon, but hey, who doesn't need a little confidence boost after a dip? And Vern, let me just say it now. I value you and all the hard work you do. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Fresh sandwiches! Come to the soup and...
Come to view the requests?
You think you know the sky and wind, but then you come to a foreign land, where unfamiliar songs on the air beckon you toward the unknown.
Catalina, where do you think this breeze is coming from?
The wind rustled Lyria's hair affectionately as she spoke. From somewhere far, far away. Much time has passed since Lyria and I escaped from the Erste Empire and met the captain in the woods of Zinkenstill. I found myself thankful that the sky has no limit, because no matter how many journeys I've made at her side, there will always be more to look forward to. Lyria and I first crossed paths when I was still a knight of Erste, and she a tool in the Empire's mad experiments on dark essence. So you're Lyria. I was appointed to stay by her side as both captor and guardian. She reminded me of a beautifully crafted puppet, never moving or speaking unless commanded. Her expression was fixed, and her eyes were bright, but cold, as if made of glass. Moved to pity, I wanted at the very least to light a smile on her face. But I may as well have been talking to a doll. I couldn't find the part of her that was alive. It wasn't until many days had escaped us that I realized Lyria was a real girl with a feeling soul. She simply didn't know how to act like one. So, I taught her to laugh when she felt joy and cry when she felt sadness. Through books and reverie, I taught her to long for the outside world. And when colors on a page were no longer enough, I took her hand and led her to the roof of the military base. The illustrations Lyria had seen were lovely, but the sky now stretching above her was boundless and so luminous that it drew forth tears. And finally, her blue eyes shone, as if they were two patches of sky lit by a sun from within her. That sun melted my heart. There, with the open air as our witness, I made her a promise. Someday, we'll sail this endless world together. I swear it. As the bond between us grew, so did the cruelty of the experiments they performed on Lyria. Lyria doesn't belong here. No living creature does. The shining empire I served now became to me a place clouded by doubt. Day after day, a battle raged within me, between the knight loyal to her flag and the guardian who wanted to set a sad girl free. Then, one day, a memory of Lyria's response on the roof broke through like a clear ray of light.
Really? You'll show me this endless world?
I had made a vow. There was no more question where my allegiance lay. I took her hand once again. This time, not to simply gaze at the sky, but to leap into it. And I did it for myself as much as I did it for her.
Piloting an airship ain't easy work, but whether it's plotting a windward course or conducting some routine maintenance, you can always count on experience and intuition. Ha! Just a little further! Finally, the Grand Cipher broke through the nebulous shadows and turbulent winds of the Grim Basin, and to greet us on the other end was our reward, the brilliant clear blue. It was a panoramic azure, dappled by silver-white clouds and gleaming from the light of a new day. Always an exhilarating sight to behold. Judging by the cries of celebration starting to spread across the deck, I took it my crewmates would agree. Damn, who'd have ever thought a young dreamer from Port Breeze would make it all the way out to these skies? The Grand Cipher and I, we'd gone through thick and thin together. It's a long story, but it all started on that fateful day I met the captain. I haven't looked back since. Right then, landing maintenance. Fuel stores, full. Engine, all clear. We were ready to disembark into the unknown. What awaited us in the Zega Grande Skydom? As uneasy as I was, I couldn't help but feel a teensy bit giddy with excitement. Ah, the Grand Cipher. Ever since I found her abandoned behind a cliff, it was love at first sight. I was just a kid, but I had lofty dreams of repairing that ramshackle airship and taking her to the skies. Back then, I didn't know the difference between a porthole and port side, but I was determined. I dove into books bigger than my head, and I learned basic airship repair, helmsmanship, the whole kit and caboodle. After a ton of elbow grease, the day had come. The Grand Cipher was finally ready for a test flight. I still remember how my hands trembled as I grabbed the rudder. And wouldn't you know it, she actually lifted off the ground for me. Nothing quite like watching your first love take to the skies, is there? But before I could take it all in, my dreams came crashing down. I mean, literally, the Grand Cipher sunk like a damn meteor. 100 different things could have caused it, but that didn't matter. Years of work went kaput in the blink of an eye. Betrayed by the very skies I longed for, I was crushed. Looking back now, it sounds stupid, I know, but it really felt like I had nothing to live for. I put all my hopes into that hunk of scrap. Laugh if you want, but some pits are too deep to crawl out of, especially when you look up for freedom and all you see is the expansive crystal blue of your tormentor. Don't worry, my pity party wouldn't last for too much longer. You see, my dreams had crashed like a meteor.
But ironically enough, it was the meteoric rise of the Erste Empire that would bring the captain into my life. Salvation was on the horizon. Just as I'd given up on flying, the Erste Empire had arrived in Port Breeze, and they were hell-bent on exploiting our local protector, the primal beast of wind, Tiamat.
Their twisted machinations caused her to go on a rampage. Port Breeze was in peril. Fortunately, we had an ace up our sleeve, Lyria. Thing is, Lyria needed to get close to Tiamat, which meant we had to go up, and to go up, we needed to fly. Thought I'd already closed that chapter of my life when the skies betrayed me, but lives were on the line.
Quick, get on the Grand Cipher!
I don't know what got into me. She fell once before. Hell, I knew she might fall again. Nothing like a healthy fear of death to keep you grounded, eh? But the people of Port Breeze and my new crewmates had entrusted their fates to my piloting skills. My own fear was insignificant. All I needed to do was trust myself too. It's a damn shame it took me this long. But I'm back now, and ready to face the skies if you'll have me. As the Grand Cipher's engine purred to life, I knew I would no longer be encumbered by fear. I gripped the mast with pride as I set our course directly above to the rampaging Tiamat. Lyria quelled the primal beast, and catastrophe had been averted. Not to mention, I could finally dream again. Ever since that day, I've been the helmsman for the Grand Cipher and its crew. It's been one hell of a ride. I've since formed a pact with good old Tiamat and made amends with the shipwright Primal who built the Grand Cipher, Noah. So, Zega Grande Skydom might be uncharted territory, but my role remains the same. See our crew arrive safely, no matter the destination. And that includes Estalucia. Some folks might call reaching the end of the skies an impossible dream, but I ain't too worried. With the Grand Cipher as our wings, anything's possible. Call it a side effect of being a helmsman, but my ears tend to laser in on any talk of airships. Then again, damn near anybody could have heard this guy shouting.
No! No! You can't do this! She's still skyworthy! She can still fly!
The distraught man was making a scene outside. 3 seemingly unfazed onlookers surrounded him. Between all the belly aching, I pieced together the man's story. He was an engineer, was upset that an airship called the Nautilus was set to be decommissioned. His 3 friends, meanwhile, were telling him to see reason that an old ship like that would be more useful as scrap. Reminded me of the Port Breeze days, back when my own dreams seemed like unscalable walls. The 3 onlookers were a young helmsman, a young mechanic, and an older merchant. They presented a unified front against the engineer, countering each of his arguments threefold whenever he opened his mouth to protest. As much as I wanted to help the guy, the trio were speaking the truth. Repairing the damn thing would cost buckets of rupees, and you can't fix an airship on gumption alone. Trust me, I've tried. Them's the breaks, kid.
I turned to leave. None of my business, right? But dumb old me, I had to pause as my ears caught what he said next.
We made a pact, didn't we? Don't you remember? The Nautilus. You promised that we would take her to the skies.
He could barely hold it together. You could hear it in his voice, the desperation as he clung to a quickly fading dream. It was a feeling all too familiar to me.
I mean, sure, the Nautilus may be old, but she's got plenty of potential. She could easily outpace any other cargo ship in the fleet, at least 3 times faster.
Found the poor bastard blathering his woes at a tavern in Folca. The seat next to his happened to be conveniently open, so I took it. Without so much as asking my name, he launched into story after story. It was clear he still needed to vent. Apparently, he just recently started his career as an engineer, planned on restoring the Nautilus. It would revitalize the local economy, help Folca this, assist Timpil that. He went on and on, but I knew he wasn't going to feel better until he confronted the actual issue at hand. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great you want to help your home like this, but that's not the real reason you're upset, is it?
That obvious, huh? I, made a promise to my friends. One day we'd fly our beloved Nautilus across the skies together.
But the ship in question was long past its heyday and had deteriorated beyond the point of conventional repair. Time is a cruel but patient mistress, and among the original Nautilites, only Kent had yet to accept reality. After he finished his explanation, silence fell between us. Well, until another man frantically stumbled into the tavern. I'd seen him somewhere before. Oh yeah, one of the naysayers from earlier, the merchant.
Somebody help! Anybody! Monsters are ransacking my precious cargo!
I was torn. Do my civil duty as a skyfarer and save the cargo, or help this ass determined to crush the dreams of my newfound friend? So, I asked Kent.
What? Of course you should help him!
Not a moment's hesitation from the kid. I liked that. This would have been the perfect moment to ensure the continued survival of the Nautilus, at least in the short term. But despite that, Kent didn't think twice about helping his fellow man. Hell yeah, Kent. I'll see what I can do.
Oh boy. Duty calls.
According to the merchant, our destination should be around here. I just hope there's anything left to save. Let's get moving.
Duration!
Goblins? What the hell are they doing here? I'll say we didn't warn you.
Catch!
Sucks to be you!
Take that! You're through! Cutting through! No escape!
One more!
Not bad, if I say so myself. Now then, where were we? That must be the cargo we're looking for. Cargo's safe and sound. Maybe. Looks like it's been rummaged through.
Watch out, Rackham! We've got goblins and vipers on our trail!
It'll take more than that to dupe us.
This is gonna burn. Oh, you're in for it. Bring it! Roll with the punches!
Too hot to handle!
Enough!
Things are about to get dicey. Just don't let them get close to the cargo.
Go time! You're through!
There's still more of them! Stay sharp, everybody!
No escape! Into the light! Upsy daisy! We need... Take the duration! Don't let up! Take that! Hot enough for you? Bring it! Catch!
Where that came from?
No little present for you!
Where you up?
You won't prevail! Take that! Rain hell on! Don't let up! Weak! No escape! Bring out the big guns!
So the big shot finally decided to show up, huh?
Well, you're going down like the rest of them. Into the light! Take that! Bring it! Unwing the rating! You will... Don't let up!
You monsters screwed up big time today, because you chose to mess with the best crew to ever cross these skies.
Ha! No need to thank me. Oh, you're a lifesaver. How could I ever thank you?
You want to thank someone? Thank him. I gestured toward Kent. The man's face filled with shame as the irony dawned on him.
So it was you, huh? Hey, listen. I'm sorry about earlier. I could have heard you out.
After the merchant left, I wanted to focus on the next goal at hand. Putting some wind back in the Nautilus's sails. So I proceeded to do some intelligent and, dare I say, brilliant thinking on the topic when Kent asked what I was talking about. Whoops. Must have been thinking out loud again. You just wait and see.
We've got lunch specials, good food, good prices.
Come to view the requests?
If I hadn't met Master Zaka on that fateful day, if he hadn't saved me, there's no way I'd be where I am now. I'm from the Vaults Duchy, where the weather's sweltering all year long, thanks to a river of lava that flows through the island. My hometown might not have been the most scenic place, but as long as I had Master Zaka with me, I was happy. After traveling for so long, I can finally say that with pride. Before I left on my journey, I was completely clueless. When my master went missing, I just ran around like a chicken with its head cut off. I was looking for something, anything that would help me find him, and that's when I met the crew. The reason behind his disappearance turned out to be even worse than I could have imagined. The Earthstate Empire had driven him out of his mind. They had manipulated him into awakening the primal beast that had lain dormant beneath the ground, Colossus. Fortunately, I was able to break through to him, thwarting the Empire's attempt to exploit Colossus's powers for conquest. I learned that they were doing all sorts of horrible things, even to their own people, in order to achieve their goals. My master was a kind person who never hesitated to help those in need. I resented the Empire for making him suffer. And I couldn't just sit around when there was work to be done. That's why I decided to join the crew. To stick it to those Empire jerks and give their victims something to smile about. A few years before I met the crew, I lost my parents to an epidemic. I mourned their deaths for who knows how long. I could barely even bring myself to face reality each morning. With no living relatives in vaults, I was like a ship adrift at sea. I had nowhere to go, and nowhere... I was so depressed I just kept staring at the ground. But that gentle smile never left his face as he asked me, "Why do you look so sad?" There was something in his voice that made me look up. When I did, a beautiful bouquet of flowers appeared in his hands, seemingly out of thin air. I had no idea how he'd done it, but I knew it must have been some kind of parlor trick. But he insisted it was magic. What a goofball, right? Saying that when he can use real magic. But it was just the magic I needed at that moment. Beautiful and kind. He went on to show me all kinds of incredible spells, the likes of which I'd never seen before. Watching him made me smile at a time when I thought I'd forgotten how. My master would always say that magic exists to make people happy. Something about that spoke to me. It made me want to become a mage just like him. So I signed myself up as his disciple, begging him to teach me magic. I'll never forget how happy I was when he told me I had talent. After all, if he was right, that meant I had the potential to make people smile too. One day, shortly after I joined the crew, I suddenly lost the ability to use magic. No matter how many times I tried casting a spell, nothing happened. I had no clue what to do. The rest of the crew thought Master Zaka might have the answers I needed, so we set sail for vaults. It'd been forever since I'd been back home. My master was thrilled to see how much I'd grown. I opened my mouth to ask him about my problem, but when I saw how happy he looked, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I'd promised him that I'd come back as a great mage, but there I was, unable to cast even a single spell. The last thing I wanted was for him to be disappointed in me. Around that time, an epidemic returned to vaults, the same disease that had claimed the lives of my parents. Wanting to keep it from spreading any further, my master headed to the clinic to speak with the people who'd been infected. But he ended up getting sick too. The source of the epidemic turned out to be an evil spirit that revealed itself to us right there in the clinic. I immediately confronted it. That rotten creature had already taken my parents from me. I wasn't gonna let it take anyone else. Determined to make it pay, I raised my staff, but nothing happened. I'll never forget how it felt to watch, helplessly as my parents' killer got away. The crew gave chase, but I continued to stand where I was. Without my magic, I didn't see the point. I just ended up getting in the way. After suffered, withering away. Nothing had changed since the last time. But you know, it wasn't all bad. In search of a solution to my magic loss at the local library, I happened to come across a beautiful golden staff, one left to me by my mother. That's when Master Zaka revealed that my mother had been a mage too. On the verge of tears, I clenched my staff tightly in frustration. My beloved home and master were being threatened by a disease-spreading spirit, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Just as I began feeling completely hopeless, the staff began to glow. Somehow I could feel it encouraging me, empowering me. So what if I couldn't use magic? Surely there were other ways to help everyone. Unable to stand around doing nothing any longer, I ran off to find the crew. When I finally tracked them down, they'd already been rendered powerless by the disease. That left me as the only person who could fight. There wasn't a second to lose. It was that moment when I decided I was done running away. I'd promised myself a long time ago that I was going to use my magic to make people happy. Filled with newfound resolve, I heard a voice coming from the staff. Mom? Is that you? The voice told me to visualize the power flowing through me. As I did, I could feel magic welling up inside me, flooding out from deep within. With my mom's help, I was able to defeat the evil spirit. As soon as it was gone, light erupted from my staff. I turned to see the rest of the crew climbing to their feet, their symptoms gone. The power spread through the entire island of Altsteci, eliminating the disease and bringing smiles back to the people. Things were a little touch and go there for a while, but in the end, everyone pulled through. And I've been able to use my magic without any issue ever since. I just know it's because my mom is watching over me through my staff. Thanks to her, I can keep traveling with the crew, using the staff she left me to bring out more smiles along the way.
I once gave up being a Skyfarer. Also, I could take up arms to protect my home island, Auguste. Man, she was special. You see, there aren't too many places in Fana Grande with oceans, much less ones as gorgeous and pristine as Auguste's. And I'd be damned if I stood by as the Erste Empire sullied its waters with the byproducts of their weapons research. It goes without saying that I enlisted. Good thing, too, because it was in the midst of the ensuing war that I met the Grand Cipher crew. They helped us, the local mercenaries, I mean, take a stand against those Imperial punks. It wasn't a picnic, but we weren't gonna go down without a fight. In the end, the war wasn't decided by either side, but by the patron deity of the land, Leviathan, who damn near drowned Auguste in a fit of rage. Anybody's troubles would have seemed small compared to a battle like that, huh? Well, not long after, as if irony was waiting to bite me on the ass, my estranged daughter showed up out of the blue. I know what you're thinking. What kind of parent wouldn't rejoice at seeing their child again? But it's complicated, and it's all my fault. Man, the way Apollonia looked at me, like a wolf staring down her bunny-eared breakfast. I couldn't face her. But this crew, there was something about their vitality, you know? Here were these young'uns standing against impossible odds and coming out stronger for it. Maybe if this old man took good notes, he could eventually have an honest conversation with his own baby girl. So, I asked to join the crew, and took up a life of skyfaring once again. The next time my daughter and I met, I wouldn't let fear and regret keep me from moving forward. How'd me and my daughter end up estranged? Well, the first thing you need to know is that my wife was stricken by a terminal illness. I refused to listen to the doctors. Terminal my foot. Even if there was no cure in Auguste, surely there ought to have been something in other lands. And so, I left my family at home, crisscrossing the skies looking for a cure. Got into a lot of adventures along the way, and somehow ended up making a name for myself. But no matter how far and wide I traveled, the cure eluded me. And while I was away, my wife, she breathed her last. I wasn't there for her when she needed me most. I never even got the chance to say goodbye. Regret and self-loathing crashed over me in never-ending waves, threatening to pull me under. You can't even begin to imagine the pain. And there was nothing I could do about it. It was all my fault. My daughter spent countless days looking after her sick mother, fighting off fear and dread. It's not hard to imagine why she hates me. She must have asked herself time and again, why was her father gallivanting across the skies while his family suffered? By the time I finally came home, she was long gone. There were no other relatives to turn to. The only family she'd known was no more. All I could do was stand dazed and helpless in the cold, empty shell of the home we'd made. After that, 15 years passed. I met the captain, and through my travels with the crew, reunited with my daughter. This might surprise you, but we didn't have a tearful, touching father-daughter reunion the second time around either. I spent so long telling myself that the next time we met, I'd face up to my past. But when the moment came, I froze. What could I possibly say or do for her as a father, after all this time? Any courage I'd mustered withered in the face of her scorn, and I was left standing there, feeling like an old bastard. Sometime after this heartwarming reunion, I bonded with Leviathan, and through our link, saw glimpses of what lay in my daughter's heart. I thought I had escaped all those painful memories. But here they were. In that world created by the pact with Leviathan, my wife was still alive. I saw how things might have been if I had done things differently. Of course, I knew none of this was real. But I would rather stay in a world of memory than live in a cold, lonely reality without her. But she wasn't having any of that. She said I couldn't sacrifice my future to dwell in the past. She made me promise to fix things between myself and our daughter. Said she'd boot me out of the ocean if I came back without completing my task. Her words finally gave me the push I needed to face my past and start on the path to a brighter future. They gave me the strength to fight for my daughter in her hour of need. And I'd like to think that I finally did something fatherly, if only just the once. Of course, I don't expect our relationship to be mended with one conversation or act of bravery. But little by little, I think we're getting there. When Tempeal was hit by a devastating storm, refugees flocked to the safe haven of Folka. We heard the news and docked on the island, which was buzzing with activity. It was clear. All hands were needed on deck as reconstruction efforts got underway. So we walked through the city, looking out for opportunities to help. That's when we saw a distressed young draft. We didn't know the details, but it was plain as day that something wasn't right. He was stumbling around, eyes unfocused, and staring into space. I couldn't shake the feeling that we shouldn't leave him on his own, so we ended up trailing him. We came to the edge of a cliff. Though the morning sun shone on our faces, a frigid wind blew down our backs. The draft just stood at the edge, staring at something only he could see. "Hey, careful there! With the wind whipping around like this, you might lose your footing!" The draft whirled around, taken off guard. After a while, he looked away, shrugging.
Thanks for your concern.
You look like you've got something on your mind. If you want a friendly ear, you've got him here.
I guess I do.
He smiled, though the expression didn't reach his eyes. The draft introduced himself as Karzeda. Back in Tempeal, he was a jeweler's apprentice.
My childhood friend was caught up in that storm.
Karzeda bit down on his lip, as if he was trying to hold back his despair. He went on, telling us that he'd hit a slump in his apprenticeship. Nothing he did could gain his master's approval. His frustration boiled over, and he got into a rip-roaring fight with his friend. Hurt, she fled from the workshop. He didn't go after her.
I wish I had, because that's the day the storm came.
Karzeda's face twisted in agony. He made a mistake, and it ended up costing him someone dear. I could understand all too well. Karzeda stared at the sunbeams as they illuminated the cliffside. His eyes were watering, and not just from the sun's rays.
When we were kids, we made a promise. Once I became a proper jeweler, I'd share my most treasured secret with her. Cowardly, yes, but that was the only way I could tell her how I felt.
It all made sense now. His deepest, darkest regret was putting off telling her what was in his heart for so long.
We made that promise ages ago. I wouldn't have been surprised if she forgot all about it.
Karzeda paused, as if remembering something. He lifted his gaze to the sky, then continued.
Oh, right. I have to go back to the mines in Tempeal. There are keepsakes of hers there. I don't think she can move on without them.
I could tell how important this was to him. But when the people fled Tempeal, a horde of monsters moved right on in. Actually, forget the fiends. Karzeda wasn't in shape to go anywhere right now. What do these keepsakes look like? I can head to the mines and track them down for you. Considering his condition, I wasn't about to give him room to argue. Besides, I know all about not being able to share the important stuff with a loved one while there's still time.
There's so much I didn't get to tell my family. Even now, thinking of our old house makes my heart ache something fierce. That day, there was no one to greet me when I opened the door. Seeing the cold remains of my home tore open a void in my heart. But you know what? I managed to keep going because my friends were there for me. This time it was my turn to support someone who needed it. The keepsake should be somewhere around here. Might as well inspect the mine shafts as we go too.
Whoa! The place is crawling with goblins!
Can't just let them run amok. Time to get to work. That was too easy. They act like they own the place. No escape! Sorry, but you're gonna have to move.
Watch out! That one's got a bow!
Into the light! Here's a little payback! Good to go!
You picked the wrong guy to have a shooting contest with. Carceda's counting on us to find those keepsakes. A watering can, a shovel. These are the keepsakes.
Huh? Did you hear that? And look at the size of that one!
No escape! Goblins brought backup, huh? Fine by me. Let's dance.
Farewell! Here's a little payback! Go! You're through!
We got the big one. I think we can rest easy.
Great! Let's head back to town.
Sheesh. The place was crawling with goblins. Good thing we came instead of Carceda. Carceda said his friend loved flowers. Tempeal's soil was harsh and didn't lend itself to flora, but her dream was to grow a variety of flowers and let them bloom all over the land. Knowing how much her dream meant to her, Carceda wanted to bring her gardening tools back and place them in front of her grave. His hands were trembling when I passed them over.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
He was so choked with emotion that each word sounded pained, like thorns sticking in his throat. I kept my eyes on him. It felt like if I looked away for even a second, he'd fade into the great blue beyond. He was still grappling with his hurt. You wanted to say goodbye to her properly, right? Come on, I'll go with you. I slapped him on the shoulder, silently willing him to pull himself together.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Carceda hugged the tools tightly against his chest, his teeth biting down hard on his lip. It broke my heart, seeing someone so young deal with such overwhelming tragedy. The least I could do was help him see this through.
All right, fresh sandwiches. Come with the soup and the
Yes, help you?
Zega Grande, the Forgotten Skydom. As I gazed into its perennial blue, I reflected on my last time here, during my travels with him. My memories of this place were distant, yet unforgettable.
Have you been here before, Rosetta?
Hmm? Perhaps I have. Who can say? Eventually, I'll share my tales of the Captain's father and our journey together. When the time is ripe, of course. But first, I would need to sort through my own emotions. It was here in these skies that we would eventually part. I know. In the eyes of eternity, our time together lasted no longer than a blink. Yet his impact on me felt nothing short of eternal. Indeed, it wasn't nostalgia that I felt upon revisiting these skies. Rather, it was the significance of this place and all that transpired here that weighed heavily upon my heart. During the war, primal beasts were exploited by the Astrals as instruments of battle. Withered and fated, one primal would eventually drift to Lumacier Archipelago, making a home for herself. Over time, she grew accustomed to the comforts of its forests and the serenity they offered. It was a far cry from the brutalities of war. Centuries would pass until a young man stumbled upon her domain, forever altering the course of her life. She engaged him in a vicious battle, but was ultimately humbled in defeat. Accepting her fate, she resigned herself to death. However, the man would sheath his blade and, to her surprise, asked if she would join him on a journey across the skies. A primal beast was supposedly no more than an astral weapon. Beings born to be controlled, manipulated, and ill-used since time immemorial. She had never entertained the idea of something more. In fact, she hardly had a name for herself. Well, she did have a moniker, but it was a meaningless one, whose sole purpose was to identify her as a weapon. Perhaps out of pity, perhaps out of kindness, the man bestowed upon her a new name. It was from that moment she would truly blossom. Rosetta. It was his gift to her, one she would treasure and love for eternity. With every union comes an inevitable separation. When his journey neared its final chapters, as he took up arms against the god of destruction, I returned to the forests of Lumacier. After my return to the archipelago, I briefly longed for his companionship, but the flora and fauna kept me company. Decades came and went, and one day I would encounter yet another young visitor to the island. There was no mistaking it. This was his offspring. I realized at that very moment the time had come. He had entrusted this child to me from the ends of the skies. My heart swelled, but I concealed my excitement, flashing naught but a smile at the young captain. I would join the up-and-coming Skyfarer's crew on the Grand Cipher for another journey across the skies, this time as a bystander. During their travels, they would experience joys and triumphs, alongside loss and hardship. I continued to observe from afar, doing my best to obscure my true intentions. My roots were well planted in the past. Knowing what I knew, would I be able to act as a part of their crew in earnest? Before long, my ambivalence would come to a head. My convictions had begun to waver. Was this the right approach? Of course, I was conscious of reality. I knew their journey wouldn't be easy. They would have to face the harsh life the skies had in store for them. And with our foes only becoming more and more cumbersome, even for myself, could I possibly protect them? My presence on the Grand Cipher was inconsequential, and at worst, a hindrance to the crew. I thought if I weren't here, the captain, EO, the entire crew would handle themselves just fine. Perhaps the time had come to retire to the forests once more. But as I was preparing to leave, EO grabbed my hand so sweetly, so innocently, and said she needed me to stay. I couldn't bring myself to abandon her. I would be the bystander no longer. Everyone in the crew had a role to play, and I would be the exception no more. Finally, I found my purpose. I was free to experience the skies once again, hand in hand with the captain. It wasn't duty or obligation that anchored me to this crew. It was love. And I promised to always protect them. I would leave no regrets in the skies. Thus, our journey continued. Only this time I felt that I was a true member of the Grand Cipher.
Ah, the wind. Riding aboard the Grand Cipher, soaring across yet another cloud bank, I felt a pang of envy. The wind goes where it pleases, and it arrives when it may, a quality I have long sought to adapt to my fighting style. Here I stood in comparison, shackled to my duties as captain of a knightly order. Oft have I imagined the brighter futures I might have discovered, if only I were faster, more like the gale. Had I risen like a storm front, I could have prevented wars. Had I rushed like a squall, I could have circumvented tragedy. But as the wind continues flowing forward, so too does the passage of time. Idle ponderings would change nothing. I had exchanged my freedom for the greater good. Quietly, I repeated a promise I made long ago. Henceforth, I shall endeavor to combat adversity, so much as I can, for as long as I live. Happily, this hasn't been a hard course to follow, for it runs parallel to the path of the crew, gracious hosts and, on occasion, lively companions.
I want you to broaden your horizons for the betterment of our kingdom.
I now see the wisdom and kindness behind King Carl's decree. For it was my journey aboard the Grand Cipher that taught me how to cast control to the winds, to ride unbound and at the mercy of the gales. When I was a boy, my best friend's parents were killed by wyverns. After witnessing the depth of his grief, I decided I would become a knight. I would protect the kingdom from monsters and the tragedies they wrought. But there was one massive wall standing between me and my goal. It was not aptitude, for I had some talent with the sword, but the station of my birth. At that time, Fiendrock was a kingdom run by its aristocracy. Commoners were restricted to a life of labor, and the knightly orders were composed entirely of noble houses. Immediately, I was rejected, told that I could offer my sweat to the crown, but not my blood, for it lacked the proper lineage. I was not deterred. Who was to say that our stone-walled villages could not breed warriors as well as our gold-gilded courts? I studied, I trained, and I worked harder than any man had ever worked to become a knight. In the end, my efforts bore fruit. Siegfried, who at the time was still in the service of the king, understood my plight and changed the course of history. He allowed me into the order of Black Dragon Knights. But uneasy rests the commoner with new acquired titles. The nobility would only be too eager to dismiss me over the slightest misstep and prevent the chivalrous orders from being contaminated by peasant filth. I could not fail. The weight of my people and the future of the kingdom spurred me. I had to become the perfect knight. My ascension was not easy. If given a choice, I might have chosen a different path. But when I had at last emerged from the crucible of trial and tragedy, I was a changed man. I was the captain of the White Dragon Knights. My mentor, Siegfried, was captain of the Black Dragon Knights. He once saved the kingdom by killing the dreaded dragon, Fafnir, and vouched for me when no other would. So when my friend and counselor was convicted of regicide, I felt betrayed. Siegfried's downfall thrust upon me the leadership of the newly dubbed White Dragon Knights, and I swore to bend all my power toward bringing him to justice. In hindsight, this anger was misplaced, foolish. There was no reason for Siegfried to assassinate the king. I should have deduced Royal Consul Isabella's hidden coup, long before turning on a man whom I knew to be steadfast and honorable. My mind trembled under the pressure of newfound responsibility. It howled and grieved for the loss of a beloved king. I know that this amounts to no more than an excuse. It was my flash judgment that drove me away from Siegfried when he needed me most. Had I been left to my own devices, the conspiracy may have never been brought to light. But I had Vayne and Percival at my side, and, though hunted by all the country, Siegfried himself infiltrated Isabella's cabal and alerted me to their treachery. I may owe the biggest debt, however, to the Skyfaring Captain, whose aid was instrumental in restoring peace to Fiendrock. After the dust had settled, His Majesty King Carl decreed that I explore other countries so I could gain experience befitting my new station. Thus, I became another crewmate aboard the Grand Cipher. Since then, I have visited various lands. I have seen myriad peoples and their responses to numerous threats. I have learned many things and gained many new teachers, and as they have given freely to me, someday I hope to give back to them. But there are yet countless leagues to travel, so on I sail across the skies, seeking the strength and wisdom necessary for a true leader.
Come again.
What'll it be? Something hard? Something harder?
Is your stomach growling? Then Give him what he wants.
Soon as you're ready, let's head for the docks. Lyria needs our help.
We've got lunch specials. Good food.
Whoa!
What? Come to view the requests? What do you think? This one, yes? Would you take this one? I can make the arrangements at once. This one, yes? Would you take this one? I can make the arrangements at once. Would you take this one? Have a nice day.
Uh-huh. Ah. Oh, please.
Are you all ready for takeoff?
Prepped and ready.
Excellent. Then let's cast off.
Awesome! The deck looks good as new!
What in blue blazes is this?
Like what you see? It's the latest in ether cannon technology. You bet it is. See, a merchant I know's been asking me to test it out. This flagship model employs ethereal mechanics to increase range, accuracy, velocity.
Never took Roland for a weapons maniac.
By the way, Captain, how is the lifelink between you and Lyria holding up?
It seems okay.
Yeah, I think so too. So basically...
And since they share the same life force, a healthy captain means a healthy Lyria. Isn't that right?
Considering they called her a shaman, I doubt they're out to harm her.
You're yanking my chain. That's incredible.
See? I had the exact same reaction.
Gosh, you guys are such dorks.
I take back what I said. These ether cannons are pure magic.
It seems Roland has quite the silver tongue.
Next stop, Lotania Island. Our target is Avia's flagship, the Emeritot. Let's go rescue Lyria.
Hey, Fix-It Dude! Who died and made you captain?
That's Roland to you.
Don't mind if I do. Ha-ha. Don't mind if I do.
Sweet. Feel that? Wind's on our side. The Grand Cipher should get us there in no time.
The Church of Avia, claiming Lyria was some kind of shaman of salvation, had ripped her away from us. We had no idea what they were after, much less what they had in store for Zega Grande. The most we could speculate? There had to be a connection between Avia's appearance and the incidents with Bahamut and Furikin. At the very least, Roland had an idea of where they were taking Lyria. Latanya Island.
Ha! Got eyes on him. Good luck trying to outrun the Grand Cipher. Ah!
Yikes! We need a pilot!
Here goes nothing!
Much saved there.
No.
Well, this is a fine welcome.
Anything for salvation.
What the heck? Don't they know it's rude to board without an invite? I'll show you!
Escape!
Eat this!
Fall!
Too hot.
Reinforcements from the right!
Man, so relentless.
Hold them off. They're tough. Troops, form up.
Come on! Enough!
You're through.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Well.
It's over. Oh yeah, and don't even think about coming back.
No, wait. Listen.
Well, that's not fair.
We knew they were armed, but why does a church have this much firepower?
Oh, this is bad. They're shooting at us!
Oh boy, at this rate, we'll be blown to pieces.
The ether cannons are our only hope! Use them to return fire!
Don't let up.
Those are homing
Oh
projectiles.
yeah, they felt that one.
I'm seeing
Here comes more of them. How'd you like them apples?
They're trying to ram us. Get us out of here, Roland.
Too late! They're already here!
Seize the ship and arrest the outsiders!
I don't understand. Why is this church acting so aggressively?
With the ether cannons out of commission, you'll have to fight in close quarters.
Ready, buddy? Let's get wild in here.
Thunder!
Yeah.
Stay focused! Be gone! You're through!
We've been briefed. Deploy the droids of Balsam. Prepare to intercept.
Okay, so you're looking for the gun batteries.
Yeah, we know. We'll get rid of them.
Too hot to handle.
Let us end this farce.
That round thingy's gonna blow us up.
By his light!
Contain the threat! Form a perimeter!
Stop right there!
Capture them at all costs! Enough!
It's a big job, but you got this. What you see?
One gun battery down!
They're targeting the guns! Stop them now!
I have you.
Enemies spotted at the stern! Capture them!
Like what you see? Far away!
Ecliptica!
Red alert! All units report to the stern. Permission to eliminate on site.
No way out.
No time to relax. That ship's about to fall like a stone.
Back to the ramp! It's time to scram!
Abandoned ship! All units to your designated lifeboats!
Nice. Looks like we're all accounted for.
My poor hearts!
That's impossible! Who are these people?
There! Behind us!
We got incoming! Looking out to us with their anchors? Talk about clinging.
Still can't use the cannons either, but we can't stand here gawking.
Those chains will rip the Grand Cipher in half if you don't do something.
Then we'll have to destroy them. Come on, everyone.
Cut in twain!
They actually destroyed one!
We've lost a tactical anchor. Requesting backup from Ship 3.
That's right! Get off our ship!
I knew you could do it! Destroy the other and we're free!
Stay focused!
Damn, they're tough! Operation failed! I repeat, operation has failed!
Fantastic work, everyone! That was exceptional!
How's the ship? Can she still fly?
Sure can. I wish I had a ship as amazing as yours. Now, to put her to the test.
That dang red ship zoomed into the clouds!
We'll lose some visibility in there. Stay on your toes.
And I hate being popular.
Don't tell me. We flew right into an ambush.
I've had enough. Hey, Eugen, cannons up yet?
Think we're good. Let's say hi with a bang.
We've come way too far to get shot down now! Blast them!
Behold these 6 wings! Stay focused! You're through! Judgment!
Big hit to the ship at 8 o'clock.
You dare? Be done!
Danger at 10 o'clock. Brace! Brace!
This ain't funny, damn it!
Everybody, hold on tight to something!
Ah, son of a... Ether cannons down!
Heads up, you guys! We're being boarded.
Charge!
That ship's going to drag us down with it if we can't pull away somehow. Any good ideas?
Destroying the engine seems effective enough.
Actually, that might be our only option. Can you handle it?
Keep them back! Capture them at once! You won't get near the Amratat!
The shaman is under our protection!
Crap! We lost the gun battery!
Now's my chance! Here, take my magic! Stick it!
Wait, go!
Like what you see?
What are you soldiers doing out there? I ordered you to stop them.
Watch out!
Am I supposed to tell General Galanza that you Skyfarers overpowered us?
Like what you see? Bingo! That's our cue to hightail it to the Grand Cipher!
Lady Lilith, redeem the skies!
Slide down the deck. You'll drop safely aboard the Grand Cipher.
Oh my, wasn't that thrilling?
See? This is why my hair's turning white.
That battleship is at full strength. What options do we have?
Not much, besides pulling up close and hopping aboard. But can you get us in? Roland, it's a big risk.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Right? Here we go!
Right. Same drill as before. Destroy the regulator at the back, then make your escape.
Oh, yeah! Let's do this thing!
The clock is against us. We must destroy the power regulator.
You got this! Let's go for the one with the flag! Get there in charge!
Jonas have come aboard!
Dad, for backup!
Get payback for Ship 6!
Why haven't they been captured yet?
You've got him! All or nothing! Watch out!
Warning. Fault in ether flow detected.
Yes, Captain.
Switch to manual piloting.
Send in the engineers! Fighting has broken out on deck.
Abnormality in regulator detected. Possible fault in ether flow.
They're trying to send us to the bottom.
Lights out!
Abandoned ship! All personnel must immediately follow evacuation procedures!
That's it. She's sinking. Now, hurry back to the Grand Cipher.
Come with all speed!
That was too close for comfort.
Now that's some frightening firepower. I'm glad you're on my team.
What can we say? Those bozos weren't even a challenge.
All right, now to catch that ship. It's showtime, folks.
Who are you?
Who am I? Call me Galanza, Alpha of the Silver Wolf Corps, and strongest in the land.
Bastard! Watch where you stick that thing!
Who cares about a dumb pile of wood? You see, all that matters is the last man standing. At least give me a challenge.
Oh, you dumb blockhead! We were so close till you showed up.
Impressive. No one's ever made such short work of my unit. Before.
I want answers, and you're going to give them to me. Why did you kidnap Lyria?
Why, you ask? Because I live to test my might against the strong. Oh, this is going to perish.
Okay, one more down.
I have you! Now, your wish, your promise. I have not forgotten! Enough! You've met your match! Take this! Light detonation!
That was spicy! This is the most fun we've had in ages!
Your spirit, it transformed.
Those attacks are hard to avoid. Might be better to buckle down and guard.
We're through! Storming death! Say your last goodbye!
Ecliptica!
Got you in my sights! Coward!
I shan't forget this.
stall it, then come hit me!
There's no way out. I'm go!
Give up already!
Nice reaction.
I
got careless.
Let me catch him.